Hey, what's going on, everybody? Leigh here, and today I want to tell you guys about a musical guilty pleasure of mine, a song that is an absolute guilty pleasure of mine, and that is Billy Ray Cyrus's smash hit from 1992, his signature song, Achy Breaky Heart. I know some of you guys might be shocked. You're like, really? Why? Well, you know what? If you hang on tight, you stick around with me, you'll find out. But first, before we get into all that, I just want to tell you guys where you can find the Beats and Speaks podcast. Okay? You can find the Beats and Speaks podcast on YouTube under Leigh Dickey Beats and Speaks. The Beats and Speaks podcast is also available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn, my official website, of course, leightdickey.com, and everywhere else podcasts are available. All right, now that that housekeeping is out of the way, let's get right into why Achy Breaky Heart, Billy Ray Cyrus's signature song, is one of my absolute favorites and an absolute guilty pleasure of mine. All right, so sit tight, hang on, here we go. All right, so Billy Ray Cyrus's signature song, Achy Breaky Heart. Why is it a favorite? First, before I get into all that, I want to give you guys a bit of a history lesson of me and this song and where my love for this track basically comes from, and that encompasses a bit of radio history and a little information about this song, just in case you're wondering. Achy Breaky Heart was originally written by Don Von Tress in 1990, but it wasn't originally recorded by Billy Ray Cyrus. It was originally recorded by the Oak Ridge Boys and then the Mercy Brothers, and finally it ended up in the lap of Billy Ray Cyrus, and well, here we are 25 years later. Yes, the song is 25 years old, and it is arguably, well, obviously it's his signature song, and it's the tune that he is most well known for. My history with it is back when I was really young. I mean, this song came out in 1992, and I wasn't even in kindergarten yet. I was 3 years old. So, you know, the song's 25 years old, so you 3, 25, and yeah, okay. If you're wondering how old I am, do the math, you figure it out. So, this song came out in 1992. I was 3, and I was going to school at the time. And when it came to me going to school, I would get bussed in with other students on, you know, a bus that would pick me up at my front door, take me to school, and then I'd go through my day and go home. The school that I went to was a school that was specially designed for kids with disabilities. I'm sure I've mentioned that before, that I'm disabled, and that my first basically introduction to school was going to school at a school that was specially designed for kids with disabilities. But that's another story for another time, because we're getting into how Achy Breaky Heart and me, basically, how that song basically makes me go yay every day and every time I hear it. So it was on those bus rides to school where I was exposed to basically country music at first. I mean, you know, my mom has always been a huge fan of Anne Murray, so I did get it here at the house a little bit, and we did have some Garth Brooks CDs, so it was here as well. But it was really on those bus rides going to school where I picked up a love of country music. And at the time, Toronto, Canada, where I am from and where I live, had a country station, Kiss 92.5. At the time, so this would have been 92, 93, was a country station. It was CISS FM. I think it was Toronto's New Country at that time, or Toronto's Hot New Country, something like that. And I remember this song, Achy Breaky Heart, was played relentlessly, just over and over and over and over again. I mean, it's no different from today when you have a massive hit that just gets played on the radio over and over and over and over and over again. And you know what? the driver of the bus that I was on that would take me to that school had Kiss 92.5 on every day. And that song would come on probably 75,000 times a day because it was a massive hit. Again, this is 92, 93, and it's the biggest thing on the radio. You know, I remember getting on that bus, waiting for that song to play, and just loving the musicality of it. Well, at the time, I didn't know it was musicality. I like the rhythm, the words. Granted, I didn't know anything about who wrote the song, who produced it, and who recorded it, other than what I heard over the radio back in 92, 93, right? So I figured, I was, what, 3, 4 years old at the time, so I didn't know any better. I figured that all artists wrote their own songs that were on the radio. I mean, this is 92, 93, and I'm like 3, 4 years old, so don't blame me, okay? I was a kid. I was young. I didn't know any better. I still don't know any better. I mean, I'm an adult and I'm still struggling with it. But this song would come on about 75,000 times a day. It was played over and over again. And I just fell in love with it. You know, after hearing it a few times, I started to sing the words. I mean, this is probably one of those songs that one of the first songs, if not the first song that I remember learning that wasn't like singing the alphabet or anything I saw on TV that was geared towards, kids my age at like 3, 4 and like the early 90s at that time. So this was a big, like, sort of signature thing for me where it was a song that was, I suppose, easy to pick up and easy to play, because at that point we were going through music class and they were teaching us, what the guitar was or musical instruments were. So, I got to learn a little bit about chords, and I remember the teacher listened to that song with me, and she's like, "Oh, it was only 2 chords." I was like, "Okay, can you sort of just run me through it?" And she did. I mean, granted, can I still play it now? I'm not sure. I haven't really tried. But that was one of the first songs. Achy Breaky Heart was one of the first songs that I remember learning the words to and learning somewhat on how to play. So it's always going to have a special place with me when it comes to, the songs that are on my playlist. It's still on my playlist to this day. I mean, I was out walking today, and today is August 17th, if you're wondering, 2017. And I was just singing along to it. I was bobbing my head, I was singing the words, and it was just one of those things where it brought me back to a simpler time. It brought me back to my early childhood years. And, can you really ask for anything better when it's that nostalgic rush of euphoria that comes over you, when you get back to a simpler time, when I wasn't an adult and I didn't have these things called bills and or rent and or everything else. So, I'm always going to love that song. Again, I have to thank the bus driver that I had at the time for relentlessly having, Kiss 92.5, which was a country station at the time, like I said, on all the time. And I remember just waiting for it to play before, I was hoping it would play before I went into school for the day before she dropped us all off. And most times it did. And I remember just belting the words out while I was on the bus and getting off the bus. And I remember just turning around to the driver, like, maybe, we'll hear that song again tomorrow or whatever. And I remember begging my parents to buy me Billy Ray Cyrus's debut album, which is Some Gave All. I'm pretty sure I still have this CD in the house in my collection, because I still have a massive collection of CDs, all from myself and, my parents, and it's all mixed together. I'd have to dig it out, but I'm pretty sure I still have the album. And I remember just coming home after we bought the CD, and we had this massive Sharp stereo with 2 tape decks, and a 5 CD disc tray. So I would throw, Some Gave All in there, Billy Ray Cyrus's album, and just relentlessly repeat Achy Breaky Heart, and I'd listen for the chorus that don't tell my heart, my achy breaky heart, I just don't think you'd understand. I'm not going to sing it for you all because let's face it, I would wake up most dogs in the neighborhood, if not all of them, and you would all hate me, but that's another story for another time anyhow. And I would play it over and over again because I loved that song. I still love that song, okay? If I still listen to it 25 years later, all right, that it made a mark on me. And yeah, okay, you can make fun of me if you want. You can make fun of the fact that it was Billy Ray Cyrus and he had the whole business in the front, party in the back with that, the mullet back in '92 and started the line dance craze and whatnot. It was perfect. And what can I say? It was at the time, I guess you could consider it it was the perfect formula for a hit song. And that's exactly what it was. It was a massive, massive hit. And people still love to hear it. It's not just me. I'm pretty sure there are millions of people that still love to hear that song. So I give all the credit in the world to the bus driver I had, who had Kiss 92.5 on all the time, and this is back when it was a country station, because they played country for most of the 90s, from I think 93 to 99. So it's a good 6-year run with just country here in Toronto. We do have a couple country stations around us. I think one's in Hamilton, KX 94.7, and then one is out in Durham region, which is like Oshawa and places like that. KX 96, so that's 95.9 on the dial as well. So, I'm always gonna love country music, and Billy Ray Cyrus's hit is always gonna have a special place with me. I remember getting to perform that at some little school talent shows back in the day, and it's not to sound all, ooey gooey and whatnot, but I get all a bit warm and fuzzy when I hear that song, because it takes me back to a simpler time, and I get a bit nostalgic, and I can't help it, it's one of my favorite songs. It's a one-hit wonder. It's Billy Ray Cyrus's signature song, and I wore out my CD player for it. Like, I don't think the CD deck on that player does not work anymore. It's probably due, in most part, to me playing Achy Breaky Heart over and over and over again, plus some Garth Brooks albums that we had here too. I've always loved country, and Achy Breaky Heart was probably my first exposure to it outside of my mom's Anne Marie cassette tapes. So, I mean, it was a lot of fun, just getting to sing that song, getting to hear it as many times as I did. And I remember like I said, I would sing the lyrics on the bus. I'd sing to the radio. I'd sing along with the radio. I'm surprised that nobody told me to shut up, because I was just, every time I heard it, I would just start belting out the lyrics and just break out into song. So I would just sing until she dropped us off. I would, even if I couldn't remember at the time, like the second verse, or even parts of the first verse, I would just keep singing the chorus over and over again. So you can imagine what I sounded like at 3-4 years old, And she would drop us off, and yeah, okay, maybe we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll listen to that song over and over again. I remember, I think she was the first person I told outside of my parents, like, after I got the album of Some Gave All, I think I got on the bus. Because I think my parents bought it for me on a weekend or something. And I remember we got on the bus, I got on the bus, and I think I told her, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "Oh, good morning," and, "Oh, by the way, my parents bought me that album, and I've been listening to it over and over again." And I give this driver, I think her name was Pat. So this was 1992, 1993. I want to thank you, Pat, for basically exposing me to country radio and country music. So, like, that's the story where, like, I love this song. You know, I love Achy Breaky Heart. And I will belt it out even to this day, 5 years later. The fact that it's 25 years old, you know what? Listening to it now, I'm that kid that's in junior and senior kindergarten again. The kid that's in preschool. I'm taken right back to simpler times, and I couldn't be happier because I love that song so much. You know what I mean? There are people that harp on it now. It's Billy Ray Cyrus. It's not the greatest song. Yeah, it's not the greatest song, but you know what? There are so many songs out there, and to be quite honest with you, whatever the greatest song is subjective. You know what I mean? Or whatever the greatest movies are is subjective. Everybody has their own list, and everybody has their own opinion, right? But this song, Achy Breaky Heart, is without a doubt my favorite, one of my favorite songs, and is an absolute, my most favorite guilty pleasure. So every time I hear it, I break out into song, and, you know, if I could line dance with my walker, I probably would, you know what I mean? But I doubt that there are any line dancing clubs or any place I could go line dancing in Toronto in 2017. But, you know, after getting on the bus and singing those lyrics at the top of my lungs, and then getting off the bus, going through a full day, and constantly singing that song, I'm surprised that people didn't tell me to shut up, man. But Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus, his signature song. I love it, love it, love it. Is there a song that does that for you? Is there a guilty pleasure? What is your guilty pleasure song that you have to constantly listen to over and over and over again? What's on your playlist? Let me know. Post it in the comments on my blog. Post it in the comments in this video, and write a review wherever you can find the podcast, whether it's on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn, my official website, anywhere you can find the Beats and Speaks podcast. Write a review. Subscribe to the podcast, the Beats and Speaks podcast, on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn, and everywhere else that the Beats and Speaks podcast is available. Let me know what you guys think. What is your favorite guilty pleasure song? Let me know. But that's it for this episode. Thank you again for tuning in to the Beats and Speaks podcast. I've been your host, Leigh Dickey. Please remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe. And of course, as always, we will see you all in the next one. Subscribe to the Beats and Speaks podcast on Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes. Find it on my official website, leightdickey.com. And everywhere else podcasts are available. Subscribe to Leigh Dickey Beats and Speaks on YouTube, and we will see you all next time. We will talk to you all next time. All right, this is Leigh Dickey signing off. Peace.